Loki is fighting with no one. Harald says, for centuries, no one was able to eat the legendary devil fruit because no one was deemed worthy by Ragnir, the moving hammer. What? So you're telling me a single fucking userless hammer has been holding off generations of giant elbaf warriors by itself? They should have rushed him, bro. It can't kill all of us. I guess this has been happening since the Void Century. That's always the implication when characters in One Piece say it's been going on for centuries. The attacks of Shanks and Gyaban actually inflict damage to Harald because they're coated with Conqueror's haki. That's the God's Knight's weakness, Gyaban reveals. And he learned that while protecting Shanks from those God's Knights many a time. Gyaban is surprised the Celestial Dragons have a capable force in battle, since most of them are brain-dead, inbred, depraved bastards, his words. It is a surprise. You know, back in the day, some people thought the Gorosei were just old farts, but most assumed they would be formidable fighters, since they bear scars on their decrepit bodies. Also, the Gandhi guy always carried a katana, but no one thought they'd have an extra god army. Well, no one knew about God Imu then either, so we were still trying to decide the matchups between the Straw Hats and the Gorosei. You know, there was the obvious Sanji versus Dad duel, and of course, Zoro versus Saint Airs. Shanks makes an interesting comparison. On one hand, he could have the secluded, safe life of a world noble, all high and mighty, looking down on the plebs from his top-floor apartment. On the other hand, there's the life of a pirate in the sea, brimming with the thrill of adventure. And of course, he chooses both, the greedy fuck. Shanks' situation is kinda like Sabo's, who wanted to live with his real brothers, Ace and Luffy, instead of his blood relatives, the nobles. And ultimately, he wanted to embark on his own adventure, so that he could be free. He even had an uglier brother who took his spot back home, just like Shanks. Responding to Shanks, who prefers life at sea in the end, Gyatban says, we call that fate. What? What the fuck are you talking about? Maybe we should talk about fate. It's a piping hot topic nowadays because I said so. You don't have to go far to find someone mentioning the concept of fate in One Piece. Just 1169 chapters and 27 years back. Back to chapter 1, when the narrator said, Luffy's great voyage of destiny has begun. Then again, in chapter 2, he goes, the two young adventurers, Kobe and Luffy, sail towards the naval base. And destiny. And even before that, Kobe was like, I guess it's my fate to be a cabin boy for the rest of my life. Well, Luffy came and changed that. He changed the course of fate. Now, I'm not gonna go through the whole manga and find every instance of the word fate / destiny being uttered. That would be ridiculous. Stay tuned for that. But you see, the theme of fate has been in the story since literally the dawn. Romance dawn. Which is ironic, because this is a story about choosing your own path, following your dream, and freedom. I can't think of anything more antithetical to those themes than the forced sequence of events imposed by the absolute universal law that is fate. Maybe that's the point though. Luffy's destiny is to defy destiny. It's the battle of determination versus determinism. And the only ones who can change the course of fate are the bearers of the will of D, the will of destiny. Destroyers. It's a double D in a world. In a world governed by fate, Luffy's free will free the world from the world government. We don't want to babble on about fate too much, so let's focus on one of the most prominent examples of its importance in the story. Let's turn the clock back and head to Jaya. In Jaya, we got introduced to the main antagonist of the series. Yeah, fuck you, Imu. The Blackbeard Pirates. Even before reaching the island of Jaya, we saw the sniper of the Blackbeard pirates, Mr. Fate himself, Van Ogre. Every time he opens his mouth, he mentions fate. It's in his contract or something. Van Ogre shoots some birds in the sky and says, "Poor things, how they must suffer." But that's fate, such as the vagaries of life. No, that's you, the rifle. After dropping anchor, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami wander around Mocktown and stumble upon Doc Q, the doctor of the Blackbeard crew. Doc Q is obsessed with luck, which is like fate mixed with randomness. It's fate minus the grand plan. Luffy always claimed he was lucky, and this time he got a chance to prove it by eating one of Doc Q's apples. Oh yeah, he carried a basket of red apples around to treat people. An apple a day, you know. Anyway, Luffy picks up and eats something that looks like an ordinary apple. Because it's an ordinary apple. One of the few that wasn't crammed with C4 explosives. You're a lucky boy, is Doc Q's diagnosis for Luffy. Then we get the fateful encounter with Blackbeard himself at the bar. Luffy sits beside Blackbeard and they both start tasting some slices of apple pie with opposite reactions. Blackbeard, finds it delicious while Luffy's disgusted. They follow it up by sipping some sake and their reactions flip. That prompts them to start bickering over nothing, really. And they're even ready to scrap, almost as if they're fated to be enemies. Later, after exploring Jaya, the crew met Mont Blanc Cricket. Remember this guy? We learned from Cricket that for 400 years, a bunch of Mont Blancs tried to find the City of Gold to restore family honor. The City of Gold that their ancestor, Mont Blanc Noland, swore existed, but couldn't prove it. But Cricket didn't try any of that shit. Instead, feeling ashamed, he became a pirate to get away from Noland's cares. The cares of being a filthy liar. While sailing 10 years ago, he happened to land on Jaya. In Jaya was the supposed City of Gold from Noland's tale. Cricket was the only one from his family that managed to reach it. And that's when he realized, fate brought me here. There's no escaping it. Towards the end of the arc, when the Blackbeard crew is formally revealed, Blackbeard is surprised Van Ogre hasn't mentioned fate yet, so he does it instead. If we miss him, that's fate, he says, referring to meeting Lafitte, his missing crew member. And now, the grand finale. After chasing the Straw Hats, who escaped to the sky via the knock-up stream, the Blackbeard pirates are left drifting in the middle of the ocean. Doc Q begins by proclaiming how lucky the Straw Hats are, followed by Van Ogre's spiel, "This world is one big, endlessly turning wheel. The wheel of fate. If our will is strong enough, we'll meet them again." The end. Loki breaks his hammer to beat the other hammer that transforms into a squirrel. Okay, now it makes sense.
She's a squirrel!
Interesting comment by Scopper about final form Harald. I've never fought one with Conqueror's Haki before. So does that mean that none of the God's Knights have it? The squirrel allows Loki to eat the legendary devil fruit, and he transforms into a silhouette. Hey, I thought Emu had that fruit. We don't see what it is, but it has claws, spiky hair, and it's fucking huge. The first thing that comes to mind is the wolf Fenrir. I imagine Loki looking like this. The brass knuckles are a must. Loki starts fighting his dad and dominates him, leaving him looking like Whitebeard in Marineford when half his face was gone from Akaino's magma. But in Harald's case, the whole left side is gone, along with Emu's mark, which makes Harald come to his senses briefly. Harald says he wasn't exactly controlled, rather his own thoughts were altered through the influence of the curse tattoo. It made him believe he's God. Yeah, but what the fuck does that mean? That you think you can do whatever you want? That's every celestial dragon's mindset. Or that you're also all-powerful and invincible, like Enel. I guess the worst characters in the story have that way of thinking. Anyway, Harald and Loki have a heartfelt father-son talk, while snow is falling in the background. Here's a video analysis about fucking snow in One Piece. The first 3 minutes, at least. Harald thanks Loki for the kind act of burning down a village to express his love for Ida. Then, as Loki winds up for the final hit, Harald's last words are, "I love you," too, while smiling. He becomes the latest addition to the long list of characters who died smiling. But it throws a wrench in my theory about those characters having no regrets, because, Harald should have nothing but regrets. Regretting abandoning his best friend Rox, slaving for 20 plus years for the world government, instead of being with Ida and his beloved sons back home, balding, becoming a member of the God's Knights, and of course, having his own son kill him. So, I guess we need to find a different common denominator. But that's for the future. Maybe that's it actually. Characters that sacrifice themselves for a better future. As the final blow impacts, a fucking humongous thunderbolt strikes from the heavens and makes Harald dematerialize. Loki cries while a memory of young Harald flashes, closing with Harald's fleeting thoughts of Elbaf's future. And let's not forget the kids playing in the snow. Remember the snow?